ต่อไปขอเรียนเชิญท่านสุริโยวงศ์ดาราผู้อำนวยการบริษัทโลกาขึ้นนำเสนอเกี่ยวกับการหันเปลี่ยนการขนส่งในตัวเมืองสู่ระบบรถไฟฟ้าขอเรียนเชิญ
เจ้าขอขอบใจแขกผู้มีเกียรติข้าพเจ้าสุริโยวงศ์ดาราเป็น Co-founder แล้วก็เป็น CEO ของบริษัทโลกาจำกัดเนาะข้าพเจ้าจะขออนุญาตพรีเซนต์เป็นภาษาอังกฤษเพราะว่าเพิ่นให้เวลามาสั้นเนาะก็จะสะดวกกว่าสำหรับข้าพเจ้า Okay so the topic today is we're going to be presenting about why Loca switched to an EV and why we aim to switch it by 2030 So before we get into that, I just want to give a little bit of the background of Loca. How do we get here? So Loca, we help what we call as an inbound visitor to get around like a local. We are the largest city transportation network, and we build our business, our services based upon the SDG number 8, 11, and the 13.So when we started, we just a small startup company that want to solve the problem with the transparency of the pricing of the taxi service, the reliability of the driver and the service, and the safety of the service, and the accessibility of the service. That was our original idea. So why do we want to solve this problem, right?We serve inbound customer. So every 1 out of 3 people traveling to Laos face those issues. Pricing transparency, get ripped off by driver, get cheated, safety involved. You don't even know if they have insurance. You don't even know if they are actually well-trained driver. So 1 out of 3. So in here, we have a lot of people that face that problem too. So that we serve our customer all around the world. So we are in the small country of Laos, but all of our customers come from all around the world. So our aim is to provide the transparency, pricing, safety service for our customer. So that now let's talk about why is it taxi services involved with sustainable development goal, right? So,The first thing, number 8, we want to create job. So we want the driver or taxi driver to be proudly present themselves as a driver. Secondly, we also want them to be able to make a sustainable income. I've been traveling around ASEAN country, United States, Europe. I don't see a very sustainable models because it get beaten by the customer.and the capital, venture capital. So this driver is the one that make less earnings. So we want to build a decent work, economic growth, so they have a sustainable income. And also we want to have a sustainable city and community, create job, create safety services, and everybody can travel very safe. And then the last thing, but that's very important. We want people to share cars in the city, so then people don't buy more cars, so then we don't produce more of CO2. But that's gonna change. So that we started in our service in 2018. So we break our business into 3 phases. So the first phase would be we try to reduce number of cars on the road during the peak hours. So then we reduce traffic, reduce CO2.And then secondly, we're trying to build a pricing model that's sustainable for the driver. So the driver, when they do this as a full-time job, not only they can feed themselves, but they need to have a sustainable income to feed their family as well. So that we come up with a model that fits to them. So the third phase is what we are right now. So we try to change our taxi services into the EV.That is the reason. It's go back to the first one. We want people to share cars so then we reduce emission, right? But then our data suggests different. I'll talk a little bit about that. So the first phase, we're having 10,000 people share our taxis in every month. And 97 of our cars are registered from 2013 to 2018. So it's quite new cars. So we reduce number of cars during the peak hour by 150 to 250 cars per day based on the booking. So that means the more booking during the peak hour, it means the reduction of the number of cars to be on the road. So then the sustainable income, we have about 500 drivers so far, and 280 of our drivers earn more than national median income, which is $450. This is the net profit, not the gross. So that means they have more money to sufficiently to feed their family, send their kid to school, and also can use that money for something that's important for in their life event. And yes, and also we are the first services that we have women as a driver. So we are now at the phase 3. So we are switching to EV 100% by 2030. People think that, no, Loca, you're just dreaming. It's not even making sense. I'll tell you why we want to switch into that. So we're going to do 3 things. We're going to switch. Second, we're going to have what we call is the EV transition financing program for our driver. And then we're going to have a full coverage DC charging network around this country by 2025. So before we get into that, why it is important for us to switch into EV? Based on the Taylor and Francis journal, estimate that there's $15 million market size for the taxi and ride-hailing service in Laos. 15 million. That's a lot of money. Right now, we go back to look at Loca data compared to Francis. So we started collecting data from 2019. In 2019, we don't have local customer. We have all tourists or inbounds, like 96%, so non-local people. And then the COVID came, we are 100% local. The volumes already surpassed the tourists, right? And now when you look at the purple one, the pink one, that is the last bar is when we open up the country. You can see that it jumped because people flowing to Laos, then it combined the tourist segment and the local segment. It is obvious that it's already combined. So with that data, our projection by 2025, we're going to capture about 5.8 million. So Taylor and Francis say the market size is 15 million. But we're going to capture only 1/3 of that, like 5 million. So now, why is it important? In order to generate that 5 million, the driver needs to drive about 10 million kilometers. If we don't switch into EV, what happened? We would emit about 1,200 metric tons of CO2 into the environment. Early this morning, the Ministry of they present to reduce. In fact, we're going to help them to increase, right? So now Loca, we want to do climate action. So it makes sense that for us to change because we are the one that produces more, right? But then we're going to be the host of the SEA Games by 2029. Then the volume by that time would be 3 times of the 2025. Then we're going to produce extra 3,600 metric tons of CO2 if we don't switch to EV by that time. That's a lot, 3,600 tons. So how are we going to do it? What we did, not what we did, what we do, and we did have the ambitions. Our ambition is to do the net zero emission service. We want to get clean energy from the source until the last mile delivery, until the last person is the customer, the passenger that take the taxi, get the net zero emission. And this is not the dream. we already making a progress. Right now, we already start switching our taxi into EV, and we already invested in the EV charging network. Here is the charging network. Loca only focusing on the fast charging networks. So our output charging network would be starting from 90 kilowatt to 240 kilowatt. And it will be covered around the country and inside every city. This quarter, we already installed one location in the Vientiane Plaza Hotel to test our system. And we have 10 more charging points that coming in this month and will be installed late this month and early July. So for Loca, by 2020-25, we're gonna have 40 charging points around the country to make sure people can travel from north to south without to worry about where can I charge. And the charge would be really quick, from 15 minutes to 40 minutes, depending on what kind of car you are using. If your car can charge faster, you can get on the road back faster. And not only we're gonna build 40 charging points. Our business model is the business, what we call is the community inclusion. We want SME to get involved, right? We don't want to be the one that own it. This infrastructure should be owned by more people, not by one person or one company. So then we also open for a franchise where SME can also invest if they have the right location and they think they want to attract new customer. They can also join our franchise and make a small investment, and then they can start generating money and also getting new customer to go to their businesses. And then not only we do the charging network, we want our taxi driver, to be able to switch into the EV easier. So that's why we have what we call is EV transition program financing for our driver. How we do it? We have all the data. We know how much money they make. We know how many kilometers they drive. We also know how much money they spend on gasoline. So our model is simple. Driver make a small down payment, and then they spend monthly payment in the same amount of the money they would spend on the gasoline, or less than the amount of money they spend on gasoline. So the model is really simple. So by 5 to 6 years, they can buy out the car. So people think, is this the plan, or is it something that's already happened? This is not the plan, like I mentioned earlier. This is the progress. So far we already have 5 EV out of 500 drivers. We are adding 10 more this month. And so far, the EV, we already serve 24,000 kilometers to our customer. The total driving distance of the driver is already 36,000 kilometers on the job. So with that said, we have 3,356 unique customers that has already been in our EV car so far. So that with that small numbers, small initiative that we take, we already reduce 4,442 kilogram of CO2. And then for our charger, we already have 1 point installed. We already provided the service. 5,000 kilowatt hour has been charged so far in the May. And then we will install 10 charging points this late June to July. And then for this July, people will be able to travel from Kasi to Khammon without to worry, back and forth round trip. Charging time less than 30 minutes. And then for our charging standard, we support both the GBT and CCS Type 2 in every of our charging point. So car from Thailand can come and charge at our station as well with our cross-border payment solution. And then our software and system right now is 96% ready. We have the mobile application where you can make the purchase automatically You can charge automatically. You get all the data, all the money is everything in there in the app, mobile application. And with this mobile application, you can also add the card. If you don't want to use the app, you can use the card as well to charge at our charging station. So far, our application is not public yet. So far, we have 70 users on our testing program using Android. And then for the iPhone, it's going to be available for testing on Monday. And then it will be publicly,
พรีเซนเตอร์สรุปเลยเด้อเจ้า
it will be publicly available by the end of this June. So we work closely with our manufacturing on our software and our system. So then we have the Lao language interface in all of our charger and also all of our system. So thank you very much, and thank you for getting around clean and clean. So thank you very much.